refreshed again. We all have clutter and we all make messes, but it doesn't have to stay like that. Give the gift of a clean car this holiday. Buy your certificate at NebraskaAutoDetail.com or call 402-601-5086 for an appointment today.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Ready, set, forward. Just announced 0% for 66 months with approved credit on all 2025 Ford F-150s at Zollner, Fort Beatrice. Save thousands in finance charges. If your current pickup loan's 4, 5, 6% or more, trade in today and receive 0% for up to 66 months on a brand new 2025 Ford F-150 of your choice at Zollner, Fort Beatrice, Nebraska's volume dealer with the hometown service you expect.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time. Which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
This holiday season, bring home a tradition that tastes like celebration. Beatrice Bakery's world-famous fruitcake, baked in the heart of Nebraska with rich, golden batter, real cherries, pineapple, crunchy nuts, and a splash of old-fashioned goodness. It's moist, flavorful, and crafted the same way for generations. It's the fruitcake that turns skeptics into believers. Find Beatrice Bakery fruitcake online at grandmasbakeshop.com or at your favorite retailer, and make your holidays deliciously unforgettable with the help of Beatrice Bakery's world-famous fruitcake.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Bagels and Joe is the perfect place for breakfast or lunch in December. Try one of their delicious breakfast sandwiches or grilled breakfast burritos. Don't forget to snag a gift card for stocking stuffers and bring your family in from out of town. With 4 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Seward, Bagels and Joe.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now through December 14th, enjoy USDA Choice 8-ounce New York strips, $6.99 each, 85% lean ground beef, $4.98 per pound, all-natural boneless chicken breasts, $2.48 per pound, and holiday gift boxes are available for $50. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in to Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arens on the ones and twos, as always, going solo this hour as we're letting a lot of the student athletes, the former student athletes, go home, catch a break, go see their family, and celebrate Christmas. I know, talking to Ridge Lovett, you know, for the holidays, the wrestlers in particular, he hasn't always been able to go home and get that time off, as those guys' schedule is always really tough. So nice for those guys. They got a break. That pretty much be all of our student athlete shows throughout Ticket Weeknights for everybody who's tuning in or used to that programming, as for obvious reasons they're heading home. So we'll be carrying it solo. DP might hop in here from time to time with me, but we'll still keep it live all the way till midnight today, tomorrow, and then Wednesday we're off at 6, but we'll have replays for you on all of our socials to keep you guys occupied while we're back home or heading home for the holidays. So with that being said, plenty of things to talk about. We'll dive into it right at the beginning. The first one, we get to keep talking about Nebraska basketball wins. They get a win versus North Dakota. I'm sure it's been talked about before, but I kind of want to talk about my key points in that game. The biggest thing you saw in that game was probably other teams noticing where to attack Nebraska on the scouting report. It was a good win. It was a minor comeback win. That second half, they really took over despite a horrible shooting effort in that first half. They were only down by 2, which all things being considered, you shoot as bad as they did in the first half, Nebraska men's basketball, you're down by 2 points. You like your odds to get back in that game. And obviously they do. They get to win. Well, let's just break down some of the basic numbers in that game. So obviously you get a huge win versus number 13 Illinois on the road. You get a nice little break after you had Creighton, Wisconsin, and a road game versus Illinois all in the same week, 3-0. You're staying to an undefeated record. Then you get a break in North Dakota. And oddly enough, I said this before, our worst games so far have been versus our quote unquote inferior opponents, whether it's been West Georgia or now North Dakota and one other school that I'm seemingly blanking on, where the first half was somewhat close. That's right. It was Maryland Eastern, where that first half was, once again, Nebraska. They looked better, but it wasn't as dominating as you might come to expect. And then Upstate, South Carolina Upstate was the other one I was thinking of as well. So with that North Dakota game, though, started off the same as a lot of those games do. Bad first half. You are down 2 points, 26-24. The North Dakota Fighting Hawks were leading the Huskers at halftime. And then you get into the second half and you outscore them 54-29 to end up with a convincing win, 78-55. So the Huskers advanced to 12-0, but even that North Dakota Fighting Hawks, I mean, they're 5-10, 2-5 on the road. Even within their own conference, they're not necessarily a great team. So it's surprising to see Nebraska struggle the way they did. But when you look at the shooting numbers, it starts to make sense. In that first half alone, the Huskers were abysmal from the three-point line, and they took quite a few. At the end of the day, they got that number up, but not by a whole lot. 22% from 3. They would take 27 threes in this game, only make 6. Normally, they're shooting, around 30 plus threes a game. They had to pull back in that second half because they just couldn't hit anything in that entire first half. Meanwhile, the Fighting Hawks, they take 29 threes, but they shoot it decently. They make 34% of them. The field goal percentage is where Nebraska was just more athletic. They had more skill and just more talent on the floor. They do shoot okay from there, 45% compared to North Dakota's 33%. The free throw percentage, 16 for 19, not bad numbers there. That's always a number that scares me a little bit for the Huskers. Despite, some being a good three-point shooting team at times, it doesn't always convert to the free throw line. And this one it did, 16 for 19. Compare that to the 9 free throws that North Dakota got. That's a way to stay in games. If you're missing everything, at least you're getting to the free throw line. You're getting, free shots. That's why they call them free throws. And you do a good job converting all but 3 out of the 19 for an 84% on the line. Rebounding, 42-30, a nice number there. You don't expect that number to be so lopsided when we get into more Big Ten play. You look at that Illinois game in particular, where Illinois really had no business getting back into that game, except for the fact that Nebraska was really struggling to rebound, whether it was off of, kick out threes that would come off the rim hard and be long rebounds, or if it was free throws where Illinois, once again, was just hitting the back iron a lot. And those long rebounds, some of the guards and forwards weren't putting a body on people, and they were able to just kind of physically bully their way on the glass. North Dakota wasn't able to do it. You'd expect that. But again, just a number to look at. When we play some more of these Big Ten teams, I think Minnesota is going to be physical. Just about everyone in the Big Ten is going to be physical for the most part, some more than others. But that's a number that you love to see versus not an opponent you want to be little, but an opponent that Nebraska should look as inferior to their ability to compete with us. Assist, 22 compared to North Dakota's 13, and turnovers were only 6 for Nebraska. So another fantastic assist to turnover ratio, and that was a lot of that second half. How they got a lot of their points in the paint. Again, they had 40 points in the paint. North Dakota only had 16. And a lot of that is, again, Nebraska just makes it really hard for anyone to try to score inside. They're going to refuse to give you anything on the baseline. You try going that way, they will double, they will get a stop and force you to kick it out. If you try to go up, you're going to be going up through some trees, as they're going to bring help down there just about every single time and then rotate off of that if you decide to kick it out. And you kind of saw that in their numbers. They were trying to press on that defense and try to find some gaps in some lanes, but the way Nebraska defends, it was just kind of running into the teeth of an animal, however you want to reference it. And once they started kind of backing up and trying to hit a bunch of threes, yes, they made some of them, but it wasn't a game that they were necessarily going to win. That physicality, that grittiness gave Nebraska problems in that first half, but it was honestly more a result of just really bad shooting by Nebraska. You credit North Dakota for finding ways to score, but, as much as it wasn't great defensively at times, it was more just offensively. Nebraska, again, only scoring 24 points in that first half was the biggest shocker. And when I say the opposing team scouting report, things they saw in that game, that's kind of what I'm referring to as we finish down this list here. Fouls, Nebraska had 11, North Dakota had 20. And let's see here. Those are about the biggest numbers to stand out. Fast break points, I guess you could point out, Nebraska had 7 to North Dakota's 2. But I think the biggest thing that you see in this game is Nebraska's weakness is going to be their strength. It's their three-point ball. They're going to oftentimes shoot around 30 to 30 more threes a game. And if you have nights where you're only hitting 22%, that's how you get in games where North Dakota is not only in the game with you, but leading you at the end of the first half. There's also a little bit of fear maybe with athleticism. Again, in that first half, what North Dakota is able to do defensively, which I will give them credit for, was just be really pesky. I mean, absolute gnats on defense, using the body, just getting in people's way and not being afraid to not initiate the contact, but allow the offense to come to you. Make sure you're set up and just not overly play anything. They did a good job, I thought, just playing really patient defense. And it wasn't a ton of athleticism as much as it was just grit and will and want to that they showed in that first half. In Nebraska, although I say they're a step above, it's more in the skill department than it is athleticism. We've got some dudes that are more athletic than that North Dakota roster. There's also some dudes on that North Dakota roster that were just as athletic as some of the guys we have out there on the floor. Nebraska's ability to execute has just been better all year long, and that's how they've stayed to an undefeated record. But you wonder if you run into some more of those games where that defense is athletic, they're quicker, they're going to jump in those lanes. Similar to Illinois, although we handled it pretty well on the road in that game, but I thought Illinois was playing really physical. They're doing a good job just using their athleticism to get in passing lanes and make it difficult for Nebraska. But Nebraska was able to figure out a way through that. For some reason, this first half, it was different. With North Dakota, I think they were oftentimes settling for threes. And when you look at the shooting numbers, I think Nebraska's, in the 130s in that ballpark when it comes to three-point shooting percentage across the nation. Nebraska basketball isn't this elite three-point shooting team despite the way we play. The beauty of Nebraska is they take a lot of threes, but they also kind of challenge teams to get in a three-point shooting contest with them, where we'll take a ton of threes, especially if we're making them, then we might even crank that number up if everything's feeling good. But defensively, that's the shot we're going to give you. We are not going to give you anything inside. If you do get it inside, we'll tip your cap. Whether you make a great drive or you finish through a double team or you just catch us off guard. That's been the philosophy is. We've talked about it a bunch of times before, but what Nebraska's going to do defensively is allow you or, kind of tempt you to drive in and allow that double team to come in, especially if you go baseline in trap. And then off of that, they've done a really good job rotating off of those double teams, or rotating off help. It's kind of been in this Fred Hoiberg team for a while now. And you credit Lenzer as well for what he's done on the defensive side. But although they're going to give you the three, they do such a good job rotating when they're helping inside that it is not just these are the shots we're going to give you, have at it. We'll put our hands down and let you shoot. No, I mean, they're still closing out. And they do a really good job getting back to their man or back to their assignment off of those helps inside. So it is not simply, those are the shots we're going to give you. They're going to be really easy. No, you still got to shoot it over defenders that throughout this season and last season as well, have done a really good job. Despite helping inside, they come sprinting out, and they do a good job rotating and helping each other to make sure they're still trying to cover up those 3-point shooters. It is the likely best shot you'll get against Nebraska's defense, but it's not a here you go, a wide open three. It is not a complete sellout inside. It is just kind of tempting teams to take those 3-point shots, because oftentimes those are going to be the best shots available for them, despite a Sam Hoiberg, a Sanford, or a Mass, whoever it is, still doing a really good job closing out on those 3-point shooters. So it's kind of the game they play, where we will give you the 3-point shot. If you want to get into the 3-point shooting contest with us, we think we're just better enough that we can get the win more often than not. If we make you play a style, a brand of basketball that you're not used to, it kind of ebbs into our favor, and then our offense does a really good job countering it when our defense is playing to that level. So that's kind of the game that Nebraska's been playing. Now, when Nebraska's 22% from three, you're down by 2 at half, and that's kind of what happened in this game. Again, it is not giving teams 3-point shots for free. It is making the 3-point shot the best available out of everything out there. But they're still going to go out there and obviously challenge and contest, and they do a good job rotating off of. I think it's one of the most impressive things with this defense is when they send help, you don't see players get lost after that ball gets kicked back out, or after that, offensive player gives the rock back. They do a good job just rotating off. Everyone gets back on their guy. They communicate well, and we'll get to him. Berkay Bear-Utenjel is a huge part of that. One of the better help defenders in the Big Ten right now, Mr. Triple-Double in that North Dakota game. But that's kind of the beauty of this team, is they're not the most elite 3-point shooting team, but they do enough on that assist turnover ratio where they still get enough easy looks inside. They'll still cut back door. And a lot of that is, especially if they're shooting the ball well from three, teams got to really suck up and respect it. You saw that with Sanford. North Dakota was kind of refusing to let Sanford get hot, which smart play by them. Sanford didn't play great that game. And for a while there, it gave them the lead. But it's, the culmination of what they do on defense and how that makes their offensive game, despite not being the most efficient 3-point shooting team, a lethal 3-point shooting team. It's a little bit of playing off of each other that I think has allowed this team to such a great undefeated record. Going at the box score, though, since I mentioned him, let's talk about it. Berkay Bear-Utenjel. I think he becomes the 4th player ever with a triple-double. I know Delano Banton has been one. Obviously, you throw in Rink Mast, and now Berkay Bear-Utenjel. And I know there was one other guy that I'm blanking on that also have gotten a triple-double, but rare air for Berkay Bear-Utenjel. For a guy who last year, I've heard a lot of the conversations around him. There wasn't a ton of people that were super, I don't want to say they were doubting, but they didn't know what his role would be and how important it would be on this team. Not going to say I wasn't in the same camp. I didn't hate Berkay Bear-Utenjel's game, but I tried to figure out what is his role on this team. Last year, I've talked about it before, but because the offense struggled so bad at times, and it kind of became the Bryce Williams, please bail us out offense, especially before the college basketball crown, where we figured out some more rhythm. And especially if you had a cold game from like the likes of Juwan Gary, we were struggling inside all year. You kind of knew that. And it felt like Berkay Bear-Utenjel felt the need to be more offensively, whether he was told to be more by the coaches or if that's just what he felt was natural. You couldn't blame him for it. I mean, you'd watch Nebraska go on 5-minute droughts pretty often, especially when they got into Big Ten play. And, I don't blame Berkay Bear-Utenjel for trying to initiate some of the offense and get things going. So it didn't always have to be Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary, especially give those guys a breather. But there was that void, and he couldn't quite do the job that season. But to his, to be fair to him, no one else was really stepping up either to fill that void of offense when Bryce Williams wasn't on the court, or if he was just having a bad day and Juwan Gary accompanied him with maybe an okay game. Now you're really looking for offense, and there wasn't a lot of guys last year that could comfortably go in there and be a spark plug outside of a Sejan. So I understood him being more aggressive offensively because there was an absolute need for it on the team. Just wasn't too many people that were stepping up to the plate, able to get it done up until this year. It's a much different team this year. You see it on the bench. We have a lot of guys able to come in and contribute. But all that to say, this has been a really great year for Bear-Utenjel up until this point. Despite a lot of the bench players and the starters doing much better than maybe people have anticipated, he's also found his role within this entire thing. He hasn't lost minutes. he's gained minutes and his ability to just be an absolute pest defensively. And then offensively, this was maybe one of the better games we've seen out of him. Just great playmaking. Even had a nice behind the back pass that caught me off guard. I didn't know that was part of his arsenal, but he's showing some different parts of his game that are coming to me as a surprise. And to me, it's the most comfortable he's looked, whether at UCLA or here at Nebraska. It's been a fun watch. This game, Burke, he had 12 points, 5 for 7. So it's 12 points, but it's good efficiency. Only missed 2 shots all day, 5 for 7. And those 2 shots he missed were threes. Again, going back to that 22% shooting number from the 3-point line. He was 1 for 3 from there. Free throws, he was 1 for 2, but 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and he only had 1 turnover. I mean, a 9-to-1 turnover or assist to turnover ratio is fantastic. I talk about that number all the time because I think it's incredibly important, especially at the college level. Steals 1, block 1. And like I said, that's good enough for a triple-double with a steal and a block to go with it and only 1 turnover. He was just all over. And he's one of those guys that even on the stat sheet doesn't always get the credit. I talked about the defense before. Burke is one of the better help defenders in the Big Ten. I don't want to say best because it's such a hard thing to grade, but what I'd compare him to is, and again, when I do these comparisons, it does not mean he's the next NBA great at this position, but I compare his game similar to a Draymond Green, where Draymond Green gets a ton of heat all the time for the antics, but take all the antics out of it and just watch his game. There's a reason he gets paid a lot of money. And it's not just for everything he did in the past, although now it's a little bit more of what he did in the past because he's kind of gotten into that status of a veteran you want to do right by. But even then, he is still one of the better help defenders. And that's kind of what I see in Burke's game. You watch Draymond Green, put the antics aside, put the points, rebounds, assists to the side, and just look at what he does defensively for that Warriors team. And look at how often he's rotating off of his own guy and getting his hands in the lane and helping out other defenders. And he does such a good job at knowing when to impose his will and when to jump other teams defensively and just cause havoc. That's a lot of Burke's game this year to me, is his ability just to cause absolute havoc. And a lot of it, he does a good job defensively. You know, when you got a smaller guy like Rink Mass, who, as great as he is offensively, you know he's going to be losing some battles in the just overall size department. It works a lot better when you got someone like Burke who can come off, help, be an absolute nuisance, isn't afraid of physicality whatsoever, as we've seen him take plenty of tough hits already this year where, I mean, he's, I want to say 2 times this year, he's had blood coming out of his face. Like, he's a tough guy and he's not afraid of that contact. He doesn't do any of the cheap antics though, unlike Draymond Green. He keeps it clean, but just a really great start to the year for him. And as we get into Big Ten play, he's going to be a guy that I imagine we lean on more and more to kind of be that enforcer. So what Juwan Gary was for us last year, that feels a little bit what Burke's been this year. Not as much offensively, but with the rebounds, defense, absolutely. So all that to say, Nebraska basketball, undefeated. You got some problems in there. We'll talk maybe a little bit more on some of the weaknesses I saw in that North Dakota game, but then we'll move on to some more college football and NFL playoff picture. So don't go anywhere. Again, Ticket Weeknights going solo. Harrison Arens on the 1s and 2s. Appreciate you guys listening. Don't go anywhere, though. We got segment 2 and 3 coming up next on the other side.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, and family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetable, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyd Farm Outfitters. Farmers, the Nebraska Ag Expo is coming up on December 9th through 11th at the Sand Hills Global Event Center, and we'd love to see you there. Our team will be in 2 places at once, in the Boyd Farm Outfitters booth and the Green Eye Technology booth, which are both in the Currency building. In the meantime, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X at BoydFO to see what we've been working on. Again, that's BOECKFO on social media. We look forward to seeing you at the expo.
Staying profitable means finding smarter, more efficient ways to farm. Those decisions turn hard work into something worth passing down. Join us at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln for the Nebraska Ag Expo on December 9th through 11th, where agriculture meets innovation. From big iron and livestock production to the latest in ag tech and soil health, discover the solutions that can help you do more with less and protect your legacy for generations to come. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
The top-ranked Nebraska volleyball team is trying to play its way to the Final Four in Kansas City. Make your plans now to cheer on the Huskers with a VIP travel experience from Sports Trip and the Nebraska Alumni Association. Travel round trip from Lincoln in a luxury motor coach with free parking, plus an overnight stay at the beautiful Hotel Indigo in Kansas City. See details and register at HuskerAlumniTrip.com. Hurry, spots are limited. Register now at HuskerAlumniTrip.com.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, the #1 fastest growing GMC dealer in the Omaha and Lincoln area. We are going to keep this train rolling in a big way with new half-ton and 4x4 pickup trucks starting at $12,500 off list price or 0% financing. You heard that right, $12,500 off list price or 0% financing. You pick which one works better for you. Please stop on in the dealership and meet the team or check us out at CoppellCars.com. Stock number C280930. All deals with roof credit.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks. Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Segment number 2, Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arens still going solo for you guys for another half an hour here. As we got plenty of things to talk about. It's been an awesome weekend. College football playoffs, as well as Nebraska wrestling. And I should shout out, since we're talking about undefeated Husker hoops, shout out to the women's team as they move up in the AP rankings. The Nebraska men's basketball, number 13. The women's team, number 20. Both teams undefeated. And the women's basketball team just put on a clinic versus Cal Baptist. So, not a lot to talk about in that one. The girls team just flat out dominated that game. And they have a tough one coming up versus USC I believe that's not till the 29th, though, or they got to be, transparent. The exact date, I can't remember, but it's quite a bit always away. They get a nice breather, spend some time over the holidays, and then they got a tough one versus a ranked USC team, and they follow that up with a tough ranked Iowa team. So they open up Big Ten play in a big way when they get back to it, but they're got a nice little break, a well-deserved break, as they maintain an undefeated record as they take off Cal Baptist. Quickly on Husker Wrestling, they did have 2 matches this weekend. First one Friday, they win convincingly 27-9, and then unfortunately the rematch versus Oklahoma State did not go their way. They lose that one 12-22. And it wasn't like one of those where Oklahoma State just looked like they completely outclassed Nebraska wrestling. There were some matches that we could have had. There's quite a few of those that went down to the absolute wire. You got the upset with Antrell Taylor. He gets back what he believes is rightfully his position to be the best, the number one guy in that weight class. And then, of course, AJ Ferrari did not wrestle on Friday. They had Cade Ziola at the heavyweight instead. And, I think Cade Ziola will be fantastic down the road. He's a tough opponent. He's a guy that I'm really curious to see what his ceiling is. I don't think he's anywhere near it yet. So this is not me disrespecting him at all. I'm really curious. What is his ceiling? 'Cause he's a young guy. He looks pretty good already at that weight. And right now it is AJ Ferrari's when he's healthy. But Mark Manning said he was not feeling well. And, with AJ Ferrari, I wonder how much of that is that concussion from Ohio State, like way back then. That's still just kind of agging him on. Because if you go back and watch that replay, man, you can see it. You can see the impact and where the rattle comes from. So hopefully he's all right. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy. And if they're just being cautious with it, especially when you're talking concussions, I'm okay with it. It's right now is not the time to peak in wrestling. You don't want to lose to teams like Oklahoma State, a team who, to be fair, they got down here Friday. I think they did some scouting in that North Carolina. Like, they didn't look at Nebraska as a team that they're going to be able to go in there and just roll over. To their, respect, they respected us. They came down here, it feels like earlier than they needed to kind of scout and watch us and see how we were doing. Because last time we faced Oklahoma State, we were injured. They did not wrestle many of our guys that are usually out there starting in the lineup for us. So I think they wanted to get some tape. And, it's a good thing they did. Because, again, I think a lot of those matches were close. They could have definitely fell in Nebraska's favor. But, unfortunately, Oklahoma State gets it done. Not the end of the world. You got UNI, Purdue, Minnesota, Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State in this run here. A lot taking place in January. Well, all taking place in January. They won't be back until the 3rd next month. But there's a stretch here to do some damage and get better. We know what Ohio State is, and January 25th, you'll get another swing at them, and then you get followed up with Penn State on the road. So again, right now, we're not peaking. That's okay. It's not an excuse to take losses and say it's nothing. You wanted to beat Oklahoma State. You wanted to send that message out there, but there's a lot of time for these guys to get right. AJ Ferrari and as well as some of those other weight classes, that 125, who's going to really go out there and take it? You got a couple of guys right now that are going back and forth. Can you lock that down? And can you solidify it as a real threat out there? Because right now, I think they're still trying to figure out what that room looks like. And then you got Chance Lamer coming back, who did not win on Sunday. Maybe a little bit of rust. Oklahoma State, maybe just straight up good competition. He didn't win that one. He just came back. So give him some time. We'll see what he looks like come January 3rd versus UNI. I think he'll be a big addition to the lineup, as he was number 5 while he was ineligible for a reason. People know this guy's legit. He lost Sunday, but I think he just shaking off some rust. That's my guess. I think he'll be all right, and he's got plenty of time until UNI to get right. So that is it for Husker Wrestling. They split the weekend with a win versus North Carolina and a loss to Oklahoma State. Moving on, though, college football playoffs. It's been a crazy weekend of sports. If you love sports, it's been a good weekend for you. There was really 2 good games. The rest were maybe blowout. Well, they were blowouts. James Madison and Oregon. Oregon wins that one 51-34. Shout out to James Madison for making it exciting in the second half. That was the game in the first half. Wasn't that close? They get outscored. What was it? 6-30 something. I can't remember. It might have been like 6-34. And then that second half, James Madison actually outscores the Ducks by a decent margin, but it wasn't enough. You outscored that badly in the first half. Tough to come back in that one, and that's exactly what happened. Despite them doing well defensively, forcing some interceptions, the game was too far gone, and Oregon was able to just bleed clock even when they were giving up points. Not enough time left in it for James Madison. The other blowouts, Tulane, Ole Miss. Credit Ole Miss, no Lane Kiffin, no problem. They absolutely go to work in that game. There's no lot to talk about. Tulane just was not up to par. The Alabama-Oklahoma game. This one was a mess. I mean, this was Friday. I was at the North Carolina match. Shout out to DP for the mat side seats. Got to see that up close. But, I mean, early on, I'm sitting there, and we're just looking at the scores. Some people got it out on their phone, and it's like, oh, my Lord, it's 17-0. Oklahoma is just thrashing Alabama. And then I get out of the match, and somehow Alabama came back and won. I had to go back and watch the tape. Oklahoma's inability to run the ball killed them. I mean, it was ironic that these two teams got to face each other. Both teams can't run the ball like they normally do in their school's program history. You saw it with Alabama in that SEC championship game with the negative rushing yards versus Georgia, where they, never even really came close. Oklahoma, same thing. They've had some games that they've lost, and the reason they've lost, physicality in the trenches. You look at some of those games for Oklahoma, and their losses being Alabama, ironically, that just happened now. But early in the year, they beat Bama 23-21. Their losses were Ole Miss 34-26. And the biggest problem in that game, if you go to the stats in that one, for the rushing game, Oklahoma just barely had over 100, which is actually pretty good for those tougher matchups. But then you go to Texas. They lose 23-6. The biggest problem for them, you could argue, physicality. They get 48 rushing yards in that game versus Texas, and they lose 23-6. It's kind of been the pattern for Oklahoma. And then, ironically, versus Michigan, they get it done 24-13. But Alabama, it's the same thing. Rushing yards. They finish with an abysmal, I think it was only 28 yards. My computer doesn't freeze on me. There we go. Oh, cut him short. Sorry, 33 yards. Alabama only had 25, though. Neither team could run the ball. This game was purely through the air for the most part. It was fascinating to watch. I don't like any of these teams going very far for their inability to dominate the trenches. So, great win for Alabama. I do think the road ends here, though. Oklahoma couldn't run the ball to keep drives alive, to hold on to that lead. And Alabama, luckily, they didn't need to run the ball to get back. They needed to be aggressive and throw the ball down the field. But you're looking at this, they are going to have Indiana. I don't like any of that team, whether it was Oklahoma who won or Alabama. The road was going to end to me with Indiana regardless. Those teams, if they cannot get better in the trenches, there's not a lot of hope left for them. And if they win this game, then it's going to be Oregon or Texas Tech. Still don't like their odds there. And then if you win that one, you're probably looking at a Georgia, Ohio State, or Miami. All of those teams elite in the trenches. That was probably the best matchup Alabama could have got out of the gate, was playing a team who's just as weak in the trenches as you are. Maybe even a little bit better, but not by much. And it kind of showed in that first half as Oklahoma got to a lead, and then they couldn't run the ball. And then it just allows a lot of short drives where you're not bleeding clock. You're throwing the ball, the time's stopping. Alabama gets the ball back. They're also throwing the ball down the field, so not a lot of time's going off, and allows them to come storming back for a win. You credit DeBoer for finding ways to win despite the lack of a solid run game. That's kind of been a staple of Alabama. You saw it with Nick Saban all the time. He could have 3 NFL future quarterbacks on the roster, which he's had at, many years. And if they run into a game where they can just run the ball, their quarterback will throw it like 10, 15 times. And they'll just run the ball every single time because there's no need to risk it if you can dominate the run game. And it also is just demoralizing for any team that can't stop the run. The clock is ticking. The defense gets tired. And it's not complicated for the offense. There's not a lot of risk involved other than fumbling. And this Alabama team hasn't been able to do it all year. This Oklahoma team has rarely been able to do it. So that's why I don't like any of these teams going forward. Fun matchup for the reasons I just stated. Not a lot of hope for me down the stretch, though. Unless, like I said, they drastically fix that for the Crimson Tide in Alabama. All right, we'll throw it to a final break here. We'll talk a little bit NFL before I go ahead and wrap things up here. Right here, 93.7 The Ticket, going solo, Harrison Arens, ticketfm.com. Talk to you in a bit.
the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, and family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetable chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyd Farm Outfitters. Farmers, the Nebraska Ag Expo is coming up on December 9th through 11th at the Sandhills Global Event Center, and we'd love to see you there. Our team will be in two places at once, in the Boyd Farm Outfitters booth and the Weeknights Technology booth, which are both in the Currency building. In the meantime, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X at BoydFO to see what we've been working on. Again, that's BOECKFO on social media. We look forward to seeing you at the Expo.
Staying profitable means finding smarter, more efficient ways to farm. Those decisions turn hard work into something worth passing down. Join us at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln for the Nebraska Ag Expo on December 9th through 11th, where agriculture meets innovation. From big iron and livestock production to the latest in ag tech and soil health, discover the solutions that can help you do more with less and protect your legacy for generations to come. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT, from cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
The top-ranked Nebraska volleyball team is trying to play its way to the Final Four in Kansas City. Make your plans now to cheer on the Huskers with a VIP travel experience from Sports Trip and the Nebraska Alumni Association. Travel round trip from Lincoln in a luxury motor coach with free parking, plus an overnight stay at the beautiful Hotel Indigo in Kansas City. See details and register at HuskerAlumniTrip.com. Hurry, spots are limited. Register now at HuskerAlumniTrip.com.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, the #1 fastest growing GMC dealer in the Omaha and Lincoln area. We are going to keep this train rolling in a big way with new half-ton and 4x4 pickup trucks starting at $12,500 off list price or 0% financing. You heard that right, $12,500 off list price or 0% financing. You pick which one works better for you. Please stop on in the dealership and meet the team or check us out at koppelcars.com. Stock number C280930. All deals with approved credit.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, and family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetable, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyd Farm Outfitters. Farmers, the Nebraska Ag Expo is coming up on December 9th through 11th at the Sandhills Global Event Center, and we'd love to see you there. Our team will be in two places at once, in the Boyd Farm Outfitters booth and the Weeknights Technology booth, which are both in the Currency building. In the meantime, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X at BoydFO to see what we've been working on. Again, that's BOECKFO on social media. We look forward to seeing you at the Expo.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Wrapping up solo here. Went to Nebraska basketball, men and women's, to Husker wrestling, to a little bit of the college football playoffs. Now let's wrap up with the NFL playoffs. We only got a couple days to do it here on the Ticket Weeknights part of things. As Wednesday, we'll still have content for you, but it'll be a lot of pre-recordings and some of our better replays from the week. So tonight, tomorrow, myself, Chris Raft, Morning Personnel, DP, we got a lot of things to crunch in on these 2 days. And then, of course, we will have pre-recordings that will keep you guys company throughout the holiday season. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. Because it is my solo hour, I do got to point out the Chicago Bears have clinched a playoff spot. Huge win as they take down the Green Bay Packers. They split the series. They lost the first one on the road in Lambeau, but they're able to win this one at home in Soldier Field on just a ridiculous comeback. I mean, I had to look it up. The comeback wins that the Bears have had, there's been 6 so far, and I'll just give you the time and the score. So the first one of the year was 19-24 was the score versus the Raiders. They were down with 1:39 to go. The Bears end up winning. 41-42, the Bears are down to the Cincinnati Bengals. 1st and 10, 25 seconds left to go. Obviously, you get a touchdown pass to Colston Loveland. Don't even need the field goal. Bears win. New York Giants, 4 minutes left, 20-10. Ultimately, the game that Daboll gets fired from. 4 minutes left to go, down by 10 points. Bears come back and win. Then you have the Minnesota Vikings, down by 1, 4 seconds left to go. Bears kick a go-ahead field goal, win the game. And then the last one, the most ridiculous one of them all so far, 16-6, 2 minutes left to go. And the Bears get a onside kick. Well, first of all, they make 2 tough field goals in windy weather to make it 9-16. Then they get an onside kick. Dubs drops it, can't hold on to it. And the Bears take over, push it down the field, get a touchdown on 4th and goal or 4th and long. I can't remember if it was on the goal line yet. Then they get that. So then it becomes a overtime scenario. They get a forced fumble, not really forced. You could blame it on the center. You could blame it on Willis, the backup quarterback for Green Bay. But they fumble the ball behind the line of scrimmage. The Bears jump on it, and they maintain possession. Couple plays down the field, and you get an absolute bomb from Caleb Williams to DJ Moore in the corner for an overtime win. It has been an unreal roller coaster for the Chicago Bears, and despite everything, despite a lot of people calling them fraudulent, they've clinched their playoff spot. They are officially locked in no matter what happens. If they want to clinch the division, they just got to win one out of the next 2. Or it's the 49ers or the Lions, win one of those, you clinch the NFC North. For the Packers, they're not really out of it yet either. I mean, you're looking at the playoff picture. You got the guarantees that have clinched a spot already in the NFC is the Seahawks, Bears, Eagles, Rams, and 49ers. The Packers and the Panthers are probably those next 2 in the hunt that you're looking at. The Lions and the Buccaneers are on the bubble. I think you need a lot of chaos for the Lions to sneak in there. I mean, I think you probably need the Bears losing the next two and the Packers losing the next two. I think they're looking for pretty much everyone to lose for them in order to get back to it. And obviously, you beat the Bears. That'd be that last game of the regular season. So obviously, they need that one. But the Packers are probably still going to sneak themselves in there at that 7 spot, which is ironic because it's going to lead to another Bears-Packers rematch for the 3rd time this season. But it's just been an absolute crazy ride. AFC is a little bit different. You only got 2 teams that have locked it up currently. Broncos, Patriots. Everyone else, I mean, right now, the way it sits, if it's a classic season starts day, it'd be Jaguars at 3, Steelers at 4, Chargers at 5, Bills at 6, and the Texans at 7. On the outside looking in, you got the Colts and Ravens, which is fascinating considering the Colts' electric start, the Ravens' bad start, and they've been clawing tooth and nail and try to get back into it. And then when you look at the eliminated teams, it's just crazy. No playoffs with the Chiefs this year or the Bengals. And then you look at the NFC, despite how good the Commanders were last year, injuries doesn't help. They're out. The Cowboys are out. The Vikings are out. 3 teams that are typically pretty heavy playoff favorites are all on the outside looking in. And then you got the Patriots looking like one of the best teams in the league at 12-13, along with the Denver Broncos at 12-13. Just incredible stuff. Currently going on right now is the Colts, and if they want to keep their playoff dreams alive, I mean, all these games are must-win territory. They're currently playing the 49ers. It is 7-14. They are down with about a minute left to go in the first quarter. And that is also currently what's playing on the brick and mortar. So if you're listening to me, thank you for listening to the app or the streams, as we got NFL on the brick and mortar between the Colts and 49ers. The Phillip Rivers return, I think it was kind of always a long shot. I don't, disrespect them for trying it, though. Obviously, with Daniel Jones, that injury, you need to figure something out, and I don't mind Phillip Rivers. I just think they got to the point in the season where it was going to be really tough to climb out of. And it's unfortunate for Jonathan Taylor's. I mean, he had an awesome year. If he misses the playoffs, that's a tough one because he was looking like one of the best running backs of the year, and then things kind of started slowing down. Offense got more predictable with Daniel Jones going out, and you try to bring in Phillip Rivers at the age of 44, and it hasn't looked bad. I mean, in that first game, I actually thought he played pretty good. It's just a tough thing to ask for. When you're already kind of sitting there behind, you got to bring him in here to try to pull you back in contention. All right, well, that being said, that's going to wrap up my solo hour. Up next, we'll replay the North Dakota men's basketball postgame. Obviously, Husker Hoops, they get it done. Austin Orman and Jake Bachman going through that game and everything that went down with the Huskers. Get some great insight there. Appreciate you guys listening. We will be back again live with non-pre-recordings after that one. So we'll be joined by Raph from that 9 o'clock spot, and then tomorrow Pierce Snell, and then me and DP for another hour. Appreciate you guys listening. I'm Arens. This has been a solo hour with myself. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll keep rolling.